Hey guys, this is Ethan coming to you from the National Institute of Health, checking in on the weekly blog here. This week we're going to go over something called antibiotic resistance. In essence, basically, it means when pathological bacteria are no longer being affected by antibiotics. They build up a tolerance. They've changed they've adapted, mutated in different ways usually by with things we as humans have done to cause this. And some of those things that can happen is we'll go to the doctor, we'll get antibiotics, and we'll take them. We'll forget to take them and start up. Secondly, the next thing you know, you didn't finish them all at all, and then the next thing you might say, "Oh, let me try something I've had from a couple of weeks ago, and I was sick with something else." Well, these windows or gaps, which are just something that happen, allow for the strains of bacteria to kind of morph themselves to adapt, so they aren't affected by the bacteria antibiotics that we're offering up to kill them, or at least to slow them down enough for our body to catch up. Bacteria are basically everywhere, as we are learning. They're inside us, they're around us. Basically, we're dealing with a balance of good and bad bacteria. They're designed to adapt. The ability to effectively fight them off from infecting our bodies is relatively new by the use of antibiotics. The first of which was really major use was penicillin, which came about in 1945. Prior to that, actually, the early 40s, during World War II, and really helped bring a lot of people home that may not have survived different wounds or infections, either war front or otherwise. But since then, we're looking over 60 years of fighting different bacteria, infections, and sicknesses that we've learned how to combat with different antibiotics. But again, they're used to adapting, and we've now kind of come to an impasse. We're using a lot of our high-end, like secret weapon bacteria to combat things that we probably could have stopped from happening in the first place. So, even though we're looking at not have created anything in the last 5 to 10 years, so research has showed, we do have some things that we can kind of start to reverse this tide and win the battle against antibiotic resistance. Some of the basic things you can do: simply washing your hands, teaching your kids how to wash your hands. Very important in a medical field, as we know. This is where infections get spread around the most to the most susceptible people. But in general, shaking hands when we're not coughed, covered, sneezing, these type of things, washing hands, ridding ourselves of bacteria, cuts down the need for antibiotics to try to combat these infections we've procreated as human beings. So again, some of the things we can do is to get ourselves vaccinated. Make sure you're taking the right type of bacteria antibiotic versus a viral antibiotic. A lot of times it's reported now up to a third to 50% of antibiotics are misprescribed. They don't need to be used at all, and therefore we're building up we're letting these bacteria build up on stuff that we didn't need in the first place, and then compounding our issues and having further infections that can't be treated, and then having used stronger and stronger bacteria, antibacterials. So make sure you wash your hands, cover your mouth, make sure you're finishing your prescriptions. These type of things are some real basic things we do to make these things turn the tide back and start winning the battle of antibiotic resistance. So by doing these simple things, we can protect ourselves, our loved ones, the community, the global village, basically, because we're traveling these days. Even other countries around the world are facing the same, basically, borderline epidemic that we are. So that kind of covers the basics. If you want to find out more, please take some time to come check us out here for the Get Smart Antibiotic Week. Check out www.com, cdc.gov, and check in more about what you can do to protect yourself and others from building up antibiotic resistance. So go check it out. Spread the word, not the germ. Later.